Welcome to another week of Brew Skies Booze News, where we give you the weekly update of the stuff that happened in the alcoholic beverage industry. I am Mike Morgan. And you?
Brett Coleman Baker. Cheers. Welcome.
You people know your names.
Welcome to another Booze News. Just a little bit of kind of behind the curtain here. We've been installing a new piece of equipment at Urban Artifact. It's a new tunnel pasteurizer. It's really great, but it's been sucking all of my time and energy and adding immense amounts of stress. So this episode might be a little bit disheveled more than usual.
Also, we got drunk last night.
That too. That too. And we're recording a couple days earlier than we normally do, so we don't have a full week's worth of news, but we're going to make the best of it, and I think we're going to have a good episode like we always do. So
that's the prelim for this episode, like it's going to suck. Stay tuned.
That's a good point. No, you should take what that says and means that this is going to be one of our probably crazier episodes, so it should be fun if you enjoy shenanigans. If you're looking for just a by the numbers book, there's plenty of other beer news podcasts out there.
Yeah.
So go find them.
This is all booze, but sure.
Yeah, beer, booze, whatever. It's all the same thing, right?
All the best entertainment starts with an apology.
Now, the question of the day is, do you believe that a whiskey highball is just beer? You know what I'm saying? If you take soda water and you mix it with whiskey, isn't that just beer? I want to know your thoughts, and we'll explain at the end of the episode. Now, on to the news. Oh, and you guys know the drill. Check out our website.
I'm hanging it just for the explanation.
I just came up with that question on top of my head. I've been thinking about it for my whole life. It's a theory. I got it.
All right. I got theories.
Check out our Happy Hour podcast. We do an oral history craft beer. Like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Patreon, we got it. Buy us a beer. We would love you. Okay, let's get into this.
Physically, if it's enough money.
That's true. That is very true. We have a new brand of... Never mind. Boston Beer is launching a new spirits-based hard tea called Sun Cruiser. Now, if you're not familiar, which I know you are, Mike, but they have Twisted Tea, which is the #1 hard tea in the country. It's the #1 FMB in the country. It's crushing for them. It's quickly becoming the only bright spot in Boston Beer's portfolio. But it's made from a malt base that they then strip all the flavor and color out of, and then they back add tea flavor, and there you go. So that way you can pay beer level taxes rather than spirits. But with the success of High Noon, which is just vodka and soda, eating away at Truly and White Claw, Boston Beer is instead trying to get ahead of it this time, and they're launching a hard tea that's made with vodka, in addition to their Twisted Tea. And they're calling it Sun Cruiser. So I think that's an interesting point I'm interested to hear your feedback on is, are they making the right move by making a new brand for a hard tea that's a spirits-based versus someone like White Claw, who has White Claw, and then they also have White Claw vodka?
Yeah, I mean, Twisted Tea is huge with the NASCAR people, and as we have discussed, and I don't know, I think that there is probably, they're also going to love nonsense that has vodka in it.
Oh yeah.
So I think it muddies the water a little bit. I mean, I think that you kind of miss some opportunity to not piggyback on the success of your existing branding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked last week about whichever one of those shitty Japanese beer companies owns Bell's now. They're piggybacking on 7 different forms of Two Hearted.
Yes, they're beating the brand
because they understand.
to death.
Yeah, I mean, but there's something to the brand.
Well, that's why we have Bud Light Platinum,
right.
Bud Light Super Platinum, Bud Light Lime, Bud Light whatever.
Yeah, Bud Light Ice, and I mean
the Bud Light Margaritas or Bud Light Ritas or whatever the fuck they were. All sorts of dumb stuff.
Right. Yeah. So I don't really understand the move, and it's not like you're dumbing down the brand Twisted Tea, which couldn't get any dumber. My bigger question is that, do you think that Jim Koch ever just looks at the numbers, at the spreadsheets, and it's just like, God damn it. I mean, this guy starts out as this huge craft beer pioneer, and he makes great beers. And then, the thing that really keeps the company alive and makes it profitable is this really stupid Twisted Tea nonsense. It's like a band that gets really popular for their one really dumb novelty song. They're a great band,
Yeah,
write great
Chumbawamba.
music. Yeah, right.
Or Guns N' Roses.
I don't know the Guns N' Roses had a novelty song, but I mean,
November Rain was a
November
novelty?
Rain kind of sucked. But, yeah, power ballads. Power ballads are not novelty songs, but they did suck a lot, and they were a lot of bands' big hits. It's kind of like that, yeah.
The branding is very much targeted at the Lands End wearing demographic as well. They're going for a very specific sect of person with the new Sun Cruiser branding. I think they've realized as they plumbed the depths that is the puddle of NASCAR enthusiasts, and they're ready to go to the other slightly different shaped puddle of Lands End wearing Vermonter weekenders.
If that's your thought process, I think that makes sense. It's sort of the suburban mom drink versus the NASCAR.
That's exactly what they're going
drink.
for. Yes. And all love for NASCAR. Watch it myself. Go Dale or whatever.
Sure, I think he's dead.
No, I don't watch it. But whatever. I don't get it. Left turns. Diageo, back in the news.
Oh, are they bitching about something?
Yes! Yes, they are.
Diageo wines more. Breaking news.
So on Monday of this week, they came out and said sales are falling and spirits especially are in a big slump. And every alcohol stock on the market tanked. Theirs especially. Theirs went down about 16%, which is equal to $15 billion.
I remember when that was a lot of money.
Well, yeah, it just evaporated like that overnight. And really the hardest hit places were like your high-end wines, your high-end spirits. Those are the ones that really tanked. But even Anheuser-Busch saw yet another decline based on this alcohol slump sell-off.
Man, they're going to be living under a bridge. How did it impact bourbon?
Buffalo Trace went down as well. They went down about 6%, their stock value, which is quite significant. So tough times ahead. Maybe we'll actually be able to buy Buffalo Trace again, though, in the state it's made, which is crazy that we can't get it here, but such is life. Have you seen Kratum?
What? You're making up words.
There's a new drug on the market called Kratum or Krotum or where, I don't know, Kratom. It is from a plant that is grown natively in Southeast Asia, and apparently it has very strong opioid-like effects, and it's not regulated by the DEA. So it's going everywhere, but it's coming out that it's highly addictive and it's starting to ruin people's lives. So
it's like bath salts. It's like a loophole in the law.
Yeah.
Delta 8,
Yeah.
weed.
Yep, just like that.
Yeah.
Except this is not as like, you're not going to eat people's faces like on bath salts, but it is going to get you highly addicted to opioid-like effects. So best avoid it is the point here.
Unless you want to be a sponsor.
You can reach us at info@bruceguys.beer.
Kratom.
Kratums. Italy is launching an antitrust probe into wine bottle manufacturers. Apparently, they've been colluding for up to 2 years now.
Yeah. On what? Like
Price jacking
fixing?
prices, price fixing, yes. So they're investigating that.
So Italian wineries couldn't just buy bottles from some other country?
No idea. I know a lot of wine bottles just in general that get used globally are made in Italy. Italy is the hub of manufacturing for wine bottles. So maybe you can't buy them anywhere else. I don't know. But it's being investigated. We'll know more. You'll know more as we know more.
Perhaps we'll start a wine bottle making business.
So
All that money they're losing at Ball, maybe they should start making wine bottles.
yeah, they probably should.
You're welcome. Ball, if you want to be a sponsor.
Send us to space. Russia is denying stealing Carlsberg's subsidiary that was in Russia. Now, if you recall, Carlsberg was operating in Russia. They said they would pull out. They didn't pull out. Then they still didn't pull out. And then eventually they said after about a year and they're getting more shit, they said, okay, we're finally going to pull out. And then Russia just seized all their assets. And they wrote it off as being stolen. So, it was a huge loss, $500 million plus or something is what they ended up writing down. But
Screw them.
yeah, exactly. Yes, that's the point. You drug your feet and you got.
Yeah. You remember that one time Putin tried to steal that country? I mean, screw you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so avoid Carlsberg, please. Fuck them. Okay. Most people don't know if they're binge drinkers.
Really? Because there are telltale signs.
Now, we are not endorsing alcohol consumption to an irresponsible degree. We would never do such. But if you're wondering, is your alcohol consumption...
Endorse it or do it? Because the first one, sure.
We do not endorse it. Sometimes we might do it. But if you want to know if you're binge drinking, if you have 6 or more drinks in one night, one time a month, you're a binge drinker. So remember that. If you think you have a problem, go get help. But most people don't know if they are binge drinkers. And this is off the tail of last week where we were talking about how British men, half of them are binge drinkers, which is an insane number. Their country's crazy. They love to neck pints, as they say.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mike,
Neck
are you
pints?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, neck and pints, you know?
Sure.
So Mike,
Brett?
in full clarity for our audience members, have you consumed 6 or more beverages in a single night in the last 4 weeks?
Last fucking night.
If you also answered yes to this question, consider seeking help. Now, moving on. Beer volumes are down as well. The sales are down about 4% this past month, year over year, and Anheuser-Busch is still down 30%. They're up to like 29.8. So things aren't looking good. Please support your local brewery or big brewery or any brewery. Just drink beers. Buy some beers. I know they're expensive, so do what you can. Maybe pick up home brewing. Let's see the resurgence in that.
When I was in Vancouver, we did a remote show, and I had binge drank the night before, so I was a little bit fuzzy. It was early in the morning there. But you said at the time that Bill Gates had bought a massive amount of Anheuser-Busch stock.
Yeah.
Asked me if I thought it was a good idea. I proceeded to say Bill Gates doesn't know what he's talking about, and I made the argument then, actually, in hindsight, why it was great. Bill Gates knows exactly what he's talking about because he makes terrible products, but he does understand monopolies really well. So how has the stock done since that jackass bought a bunch of it?
Aside from the little dip that we saw this week because of Diageo complaining about alcohol sales, it's been holding steady still. There was some news articles that came out this week that I didn't bother to bring up, but they're still talking about how Budweiser is a great purchase, and if you have money to spend on stocks, they do recommend buying $Bud. So, yeah.
Can we do a Kramer thing on that? I'm bullish as hell on Anheuser-Busch.
That's good. Another new study about climate change impacting beer ingredients has come out. Now, here's the thing. Climate change is bad. And moving agricultural regions is going to be difficult. But at the end of the day, it's not like barley and hops are going to go away. You kind of just got to move it north.
Yeah.
So they're saying that we're going to potentially run out of hops and you won't be able to get any of the best hops because these hop growing regions, like in Idaho, for instance, are starting to become very difficult to grow hops cheaply because we're not getting rain and the climate's getting bad. So, they're claiming that we're just not going to have hops anymore. But really what's going to happen is we're just going to move where hops are grown.
Canada.
So, yeah.
I think Canada is the answer to everything for the rest of my life.
So the real answer is...
World War III is going to happen soon, so it's not going to be that long, really.
On this investment podcast, it's buy land in Canada, right? That's the answer?
Yes. Yeah, it is. I've got, actually, to the extent that I have some specific plans that I'm not going to share until I bought some land there. Then I'll tell you people so that you can help jack up the prices.
We're going to have a run on land in Canada. High-end wine manufacturers are freaking out about Ozempic.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Because of all the people that binge drink $95 bottles of wine.
Well, they're probably worried about the boomer who's spending $100 on a bottle of their fancy wine. If they're slamming Ozempic instead and lose the craving for wine, they're going to run out of business because they're not facilitating any accessibility to the next generations that don't have as much money.
Ozempic impacts impulsive cravings, not general desires. So It, I think, is having an impact, a positive impact on reductions in alcoholic behavior, but nobody's gonna like not buy a $200 bottle of wine because you're taking Ozempic. I mean, Thunderbird, whoever makes that, maybe they should be concerned, but the people least concerned should be the high-end wine people.
Yeah.
Just whiners.
I don't think.
If you like terrible puns.
Ooh. Mike, can you
that
name
would make
any
my skin
bars that
crawl.
opened last year? Could you name any of the top
Wow.
new bars of 2023? No less.
Wow. No, really. No, I can't. Shit.
Kind of crazy, right?
That is kind of crazy.
Well, Punch.com put out their list of top new bars of 2023. No surprising, a little disappointing. They're all the high-end cocktail places.
Yeah.
So, like, places we're generally not going to frequent on a regular basis because...
Or go to unless somebody makes me, ever.
It's just disappointing that these best of lists never actually have, like, best dive, and it not just be a dive that was, like, a place retrofitted to look like a dive. And it's also disappointing, why doesn't any place open... Why can't we get a place that opens and it's already like lived in and old and affordable? Why does everything that opens have to be expensive as shit and you have to wait 50 years for it to be affordable? Like, why can't we just open an affordable place for a change?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a lot of things going on in the economy that actually provide a specific answer to that. I get your philosophical question, but, you know, there's a lot of things wrong with the world, and if you want my full list, we'll do an 8-hour episode, but
Pass.
I think that one of the major crises that we have as a country is that we stopped doing vocational education some years ago, and we also started discrediting the crafts and the trades. And we started telling everybody that they needed to go to college to learn to do useless shit.
Well, my mom told me the neighbors would call me a Riri if I got my plumbing degree.
And guess what would actually have happened if you'd gotten your plumbing degree?
I'd be making way more money than I've ever made.
Like $250,000 right now.
Yeah, I'd be retiring in 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, if you have half a brain in any business sense and you're a decent plumber, you make good money, then you hire an assistant, and then you hire a crew, and you're rich, bitch. I mean, we have an extreme shortage of tradespeople in this country, and it means that they can charge whatever they want.
Oh, they charge crazy rates right now.
I mean, my God, you know, you're like, if they show up, you're like, oh my God, yeah, I'll pay you whatever you want. Like they got a gun to your head.
Just getting them on site, your $150 gone. Just getting them on site, let alone the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, so, I mean, build out cost 3-4 times what it should. And that makes it hard to make a place run. Also, insurance is astronomical. We also have an insurance crisis in this country. I was talking to a guy that's been in insurance for, I think, all of his adult life the other day. He's retiring. He said he's really glad because it's almost impossible to underwrite insurance now. They're like, apparently you have to have a really high credit rating to get insurance policies. So...
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, what people are paying, and I mean, dram shop insurance has always been expensive as hell, so...
Oh, I also think that the fact that everything is debt financed in this country has something to do with it. If you're doing your build out on debt, and you're not owning the land, the property, and you're renting, and you have to pay rent, and you have to pay mortgage, or you know your loan back. It's just you have to charge $20 a goddamn cocktail because you can't make it otherwise.
Right.
Which is insane.
Dive bars are dying, and the only reason that the dive bars that still exist are because the people own the real estate.
Yep.
They've owned it usually for 2 or 3 generations, and you know,
their overhead's basically the utilities, and the person behind the bar.
Yeah. The person that owns the bar owns their house, and they own their car, and they own the real estate and everything that's in the bar. And so, you know, it doesn't occur to them to raise prices in the past 10 years.
Well, on that note, Mike, what's the non-alc of the day?
You know, we'll get a little political this week just because there are several fun things that happen. One of them is that some congressman, some idiot, accused Kevin McCarthy of punching him in the kidneys or elbowing him in the kidneys. And then two other Republicans, like one of them said that the other threatened to beat him up. I mean, the level of what, not only can they
Sounds like elementary school.
Not only can they not just like pass basic legislation and keep the government open, these Republicans in Congress are just like children. I mean, it is incredible. And like they used to be, Republicans used to be the uptight people in the suits spewing a bunch of complicated economic theory. Now they're just children, and it's fascinating.
Maybe it's time we need to spank our Republican kids again.
Sure, yes.
Those kids, at least. The ones in Congress. They need a good spanking.
But they also, the other thing that happened this week, so, you know, that's one of our branches of government. The Supreme Court also passed a code of regulations.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, because they've been under pressure and threat, you know, not threat, they've been under pressure.
They've
taken
now.
some heat for, you know, being completely corrupt and taking bribes. And so, yeah, you know, they've got this code of ethics. It sounds kind of good, except it doesn't really define when they have to recuse themselves. And more importantly, there is absolutely no enforcement arm at all. There's no repercussions, so
they'll enforce themselves, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely, because they've done a great job of it so far, which takes us to the non-news story of the week. Clarence Thomas, still taking bribes.
Well, now we get on to the real brain teaser. Is whiskey mixed with soda just beer?
What does this even mean?
Now, whiskey is made from grain. Beer is made from grain. When you make whiskey, you make a beer first, and then you distill it, and then you age it in a barrel, and you get whiskey. Well, if you're just adding soda water back to dilute it down to 5% alcohol, is that not just beer again?
But you're not adding the mash, you're not adding the grain back to it.
But the grain has been distilled into the spirits. You have the essence of the grain and the spirits.
The essence of the grain and the grain are two different things.
So a whiskey highball then with soda, a whiskey soda, is the LaCroix of beer.
It's a rehydrated...
It's a rehydrated beer.
Okay. I mean, you're the chemist. But I think that this theory is batshit, but...
Sometimes I wonder how I got through college, because I can't remember a single fucking thing. I think back to some of the stuff I passed. Like, how the fuck did I know that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Chemist is very favorable. Thank you.
Yeah, I think OU was kind of easy.
Well, see you next week.
OU, if you want to be a sponsor.
Harvard on the Hawking.
We keep your picture back here.
For sure do.
We love you.
We're grads.
And we love you people.
Cheers.
Happy Thanksgiving next week. And if you're driving, the left lane is for passing, dick.